I used to be of the high performance any trust category. What I found is my bad experiences really resulted from trusting the wrong people. And that extends both personally and professionally. So the first thing I really look for anymore is, can I really trust this person? And it's not so much, in my experience, do people know what they need to know to do the job? It's, do they have the right attitude to do it? Can you trust them to do it? I was, my mentor in my career was Dr. Frank Red, who started the Small Satellite Conference. And he was a retired Air Force officer, and he had sort of this way of managing people where he just said, go do it. And he trusted you. And I sort of picked up on that, as that's the way I manage things. So if you don't, if you want to, be a parent and watch your employees like you would children, well, okay, you can maybe hire the ones that you don't trust. But for me, the life's too short to be chasing people around. And so the other thing I look for is people that have that burning desire in their heart to do something. And because that goes a long way. It's people that really aren't excited about something, don't do well at it. And I have 6 kids, believe it or not. I don't know why I have that many, but it's a whole discussion. And they're all good kids, but they, the thing I have to tell them is, find something you love, because you'll be good at it.
Right. Well, that was a very interesting answer, and it's good. It wasn't what I expected, so that's awesome. Let's talk about venture capital funding for a minute. Sometimes you can help organizations find that venture capital funding, and I'm curious what investors are looking for most in space ventures, other than, hey, I'm going to get my money back and hopefully a little profit here.
Yeah, it's kind of a curious question. It's a good one, actually. So traditionally, venture capital had sort of a bad reputation in particular. And there's a lot more out there besides venture capital, right? So you have the early types, we call them angel investors or seed investors. They write small checks but take high risks. And they look at different things than venture capital, which is typically early to mid stage. And they write bigger checks but take modestly high risks. And then you have sort of the private equity types that write very large checks. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. They take very low risks, right? And with each one of these, what they're looking for are different things. So it's interesting. The angel investors, it's all about the person, right? They meet you, they like you. Again, this question of trust. Can they trust you? Are you excited? My same sort of parameters of choosing people, they'll choose the same ones to invest in. And I've had investors who will say, I like somebody that's really outspoken. I've had others that go look at my Twitter feed and say, oh, you're too outspoken. So it's kind of individual, what they like. And so they're not so much looking at a return. They're obviously investing for a return, but they expect, 1 in 10 of these to turn out maybe. So they throw a lot of seeds out. That's why they write small checks. And I, in fact, have been an angel investor in the space business. That's kind of how I do. I do it with individuals that I really know and trust, and I believe in what they're doing. So then you get into VCs, and what they're looking at is the team and the idea, right? Any good business plan is fundable. And so they're looking at a team, and they think that the team can carry it off. And is this an idea that looks like it might turn into, generally they're looking for unicorns. And it's the same philosophy that the angel investors have, where they're going to make 10 investments and one will turn into a unicorn. If you look at Sequoia's portfolio, for example, there's just a few companies that carry their entire portfolio performance. But, if you could only choose those, they certainly would. They wouldn't choose the losers. But, these VCs are very quick to just turn off the spigot off once they decide that this is not a winning company. And so they move along. And then the private equity guys, now they're the ones that are hoping that 1 and 2 are turning out to be these big hits, right? And the ones that aren't the big hits are at least not going to lose a lot of money, right? Because their return expectation is much lower, so they're looking at lower risk. So that's why when you build these companies, you have to start small. It's kind of like one time I went fishing in Florida. First time I went sport fishing when I was living in the West. And we went out, and the first fish I caught was an 18-inch mackerel. And I said to the guy that was helping us, I said, hey, breakfast. And he said, no, this is bait. And so he chopped it into 2, and he put it on hooks and threw it back in the water. And that's kind of what you do with investor money, is you is you go out and you use the early money to create enough progress so you can hook the bigger fish like the VCs, and then use their money to hook the private equity. And that's how you create the LinkedIns of the world. That's how you create the Facebooks of the world. It's a lot more complicated than that, but that financially, that's really how you build it.
Right. And so you've got to go through those layers. And I guess the equity investors, by the time you get that far, you should have proven the concept and shown, okay, yes, we have revenue and we're, successfully providing this service.
Well, so on that point, I think this is an important point to make. Really, revenue is not expected till you get to the private equity stage. It's nice to have when you're in the VC stage, but it's not necessarily true. That's why you see some of these Wall Street offerings of an IPO, and these guys are losing money like crazy. People are still investing in it, right? Because they're investing in the blue sky of the concept, and they're pushing the future out. So their expectation is not to have revenues right away.
More engineers are not going to solve your problem. It's not a technical problem in that sense. It's a process problem. And the time to fix your processes was 20 months ago, and the second best time is today. This is Jason Canigan, the president of Cold Star Technologies and the host of this podcast, the Cold Star Project, which is all about identifying and solving process problems for space companies, because that's what we do. And you can hear the entirety of this episode by following the link in the comment below.